I'm going to talk about probably what I feel is the one skill that's going to make the biggest difference in our boats, and really most boats that I'm in, and that's changes. I feel that we don't really talk about them in enough detail. In fact, I don't think I've ever encountered any detailed video about changes aside from just bring it over, right? So it's a really critical skill. Primarily because, and the main reason because, what makes a boat actually move fast is a smooth buildup of momentum over time. And if your changes are sloppy, it kills all the gains that you made in the past, however strokes, right? So if you maintain that smoothness, even after a change, it really helps the rhythm of the boat, everything feels better. Again, I feel like it'll make the biggest positive difference. Generally what I notice for changes in most boats, ours included, is that around the 10th or 9th count when the hut gets called, you immediately start to feel like a bit of tension. People start to rush, you feel the boat become a little bit unstable, and that happens because, if you don't have full confidence in a skill, you tend to rush. That's just how it works. It works in music. It works in any athletic thing, really. You'll rush if you don't have confidence in what you're about to do. So I feel it's really important to really just kind of go through exactly what happens in a change, what should happen, the ideal change, right? So that we all have an idea of what it is and how that contributes to the boat. Okay, so here goes. The main factor that contributes to a good change is, first of all, a good stroke. And primarily what I'm talking about is keeping it in front. Sorry, quirky, right? So the more your stroke is in front, right? And the more that you paddle with your arms straight, right? The less you have to the less your arms have to work when you do change. For example, if you're paddling all the way back here, your change is going to be like, you got to do a lot. Whereas if you're just doing this, your change is just right there, right? Same thing when you're being centered, right? If you want to paddle centered, meaning the arc of your stroke will kind of go like this, right? Not like this on one side, right? You don't want to weight one side. You want to be balanced, right? It helps the canoe as well, but it also helps your changes. So you're actually bringing your top hand and your paddle over back on the other side almost. That helps keep your whole core centered in the canoe as you paddle. But additionally, it helps your changes because if you notice the arc of the paddle, once it's at this point, it's already centered. Right? So this is the point where you basically want to make your change, right? If you're paddling on this side like this, changing is really hard because you gotta do all sorts of crazy to bring it over here, and it just creates it just doesn't make things easy for you, right? So first thing is having a good stroke, right? Staying balanced side to side, right? And keeping it in front. If you're having trouble doing either of those, you just gotta stretch. There's really no quick and easy answer to that, right? You gotta stretch your shoulders, stretch your back so you can reach out. You really want to try to keep every stroke in front, right? And you want to keep every stroke balanced, right? None of this sideways stuff really doesn't help the boat. Okay. All right. So let's walk through the actual stroke, the change and what happens, right? So as you're kind of finishing your stroke, right? Basically at this point when the paddle is about vertical, you're not applying any more power. Your power's done. You're just kind of letting it go, right? And I'm sure you've noticed, but the more power you put in, the more power that the paddle snaps back with during your change, right? So you want to take advantage of that, right? But the main factor that brings the paddle back is, again, just proper paddling, right? I take a stroke. On my way to the next stroke, I'm already centered, right? So the only difference is on the chain stroke, I'm just bringing my top hand down, right? And I'm grabbing it here, right? And then finishing my recovery, onto your next stroke, right? So you're only applying a little bit more work than you would be to a normal stroke, ideally, right? If you're not paddling properly, you have to do a lot more work come change time, right? And that contributes to a lot of the, just, I would say, lack of confidence, right? Around the change time makes the boat like, just die or surge or just get out of sync essentially. And it takes us like a good 5 strokes to get back in sync. So, the key points of a good change, right? One is you don't want to disrupt the rhythm of the boat. The change has to happen in the context of the stroke, right? The rhythm does not change, right? Now, what if you can't change fast enough, right? That's okay. The main thing is you don't disrupt the rhythm, right? Maybe you'll come back here, right? Because you're just not fast enough. That's okay. You want to keep that hip moving, right? And stay in the rhythm of the boat. That is the main thing. The other thing, don't shift around, right? A lot of people, they tend to shift during that change. It's very noticeable, right? And it doesn't help at all, right? So you don't want to do anything suddenly. Everything has to be smooth. If you have to shift just because you can't reach for some reason, do it really smoothly in the context of like another stroke, for instance, right? On your next stroke, lift your butt up a little bit, scoot over, right? Not this crazy thing where you got to do is like, I got to get my hand in, I got to make sure, right? Everything's about the timing. It's not about you getting your blade in, right? You got to get your blade in time with the boat, right? Wherever it is. Ideally, of course, it's with a good change, so you don't have to worry about any of that. The other point about a change. I know some people advise that you do this on your first stroke because it makes life easier, but you really want to try to get that top hand in during the change. Top hand is really critical to helping balance the boat out during your stroke. It's what allows you to paddle confidently without worrying about hooling, for instance, right? It really helps you stabilize and balance your core into the boat. You actually want to engage the stroke with your top hand. So one of the requirements for that, though, is you got to have pretty decent wrist flexibility, right? So I'm doing my stroke, I'm about to change. Now this hand, see this thumb, it hooks in over here, right? But if I want to engage it over the T-handle, I got to have enough wrist flexibility to go back here and over like that. I didn't have enough at first. It just takes a little bit of stretching, not a whole lot. Just do this. In a week, you'll have enough, right? But really, you want to try to get that top hand engaged at every change, right? You really want to maximize that stroke. And you really want to get your changes to the point where you can change at any time. You can change every stroke and put meaningful power down, right? That's where we want to get to. Okay. That's it. Work on this at home. It's a skill you can just practice. Look at yourself in the mirror. Make sure you're doing it right. It'll help on the boat a lot. Thanks.